Hello, how you doing on this fine autumn day? I'm here to talk to you today about something that's very dear to my heart and that is being impacted upon tremendously in the world in recent time and right now, in fact. And if we haven't met, I'm Gwenda, the fearless prophet of truth. Dr. Wayne Dyer is an inspirational, motivational speaker and writer of many years. And sadly, he's not in this world anymore, but his tremendous work continues to be put out into the world. And he is a tremendous inspiration to me. His work resonates with me very deeply, resonates on a soul level. And I just find him to have been a wonderful human being. And in one of his videos that I was watching the other day, he was talking about his time of being in the US Navy. And he was positioned on an island called Guam. The USA have been on that island for a long, long time, had their services on there, and Wayne Dyer was in the Navy. He was quite perplexed to find that there were notices up on the PX and Navy exchange stores that stated that the local Guam people, the local civilians of Guam, he calls them Guamalians, were not allowed to shop in the PX and the Navy exchange stores, but all other civilians were. And what he said was that these local Guam people were dark skinned and had different shaped eyes. And he found that quite unacceptable. He was only 20 to 21 years of age and he decided he would protest this rule. And as if in perfect synchronicity, the newspaper put a contest out and invited people to speak their mind. And this was in 1961. There was a prize for the best letter, and it was 75 US dollars. And he says that that was more than he was earning in a month in the US Navy at that time. So he wrote his piece. But what he didn't know was that when you're in the services and you have an opinion and you don't submit it to the chain of command, you can be court martialed. Well, he went ahead in his submission and he did win, as he said he would. His assailed policy and address of discrimination on Guam got him in front of the top Navy commander, and he was threatened with being court martialed. And it turned out if you're any kind of reformist, possibly activist, or if you have interests of morals and ethics, then you're considered a problem to the services. One thing that Dr. Dyer talked about is rules and how rules are not ethics and not morals. And he spoke of wars, in particular reference to Nazi Germany, where there were terrible things done to other people in the name of rules. And when those people came to trial in Nuremberg, their constant defense was, I was just following orders. I was just doing my job. Now, I consider myself to be a deeply spiritual person. In fact, I guide others to find their way to that beautiful depth of the soul within. And I'm deeply aligned with the same things that Dr. Dyer taught while he was here and inspired. I'm also deeply aligned with whom he refers to as God, as do I. It's quite wonderful that we have this synchronicity between us. And it draws me to understand why I like his teachings. What else I liked about his teachings is it turns out, or about him, that he's an activist and he did not stand for things that were immoral. And something that really struck a chord with me in his video was that when a rule is immoral, it's immoral to follow that rule. And that really, really sat in my heart. And it got me thinking about things that we've been seeing in the last few years. He went on in his talk to talk about a lady named Rosa Parks, and she was from the deep south of the USA. And so was Dr. Dyer for some time of his life, because he was familiar with what Rosa was talking about. One day, Rosa said, "Not today. I'm not going to the back today." What she was referring to was there were signs everywhere, is what Dr. Dyer said. And the signs said, blacks to the back, only white to the front. And this day, Rosa said, "No, I'm not going to the back. I'm standing at the front." Now, I am a proud Wadandi Noongar woman from the southwest of Western Australia, and I'm well aware of those kind of things and the discrimination through colour, as are many Indigenous people in many countries around the world. The history here in Australia is certainly not something to be proud of. So he goes on to talk about these rules that are not ethics and they're not morals. And when something is immoral, it's not conforming to the accepted standards of morality. Morality being the principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, good and bad. Now, from a consciousness perspective, there's a lot of teachings, if you can call them that, in recent times to say that there is no such thing as right and wrong, good or bad. And the fact is that in this world, there is. Because in this world, there's duality. And we are taught duality from the beginning of when we arrive. We are taught be good, that was bad. We are taught right from wrong. And to be honest, it looks like a lot of people here need to understand that some things are good and some things are bad, and some things are right and some things are wrong. We're also taught that there is beauty and there's ugly. So the duality in this world is quite cruel, and it creates separatism and it creates discrimination. Why? Why would good-hearted human souls live that way? Why are they accepting of this duality? So I said the consciousness that's around that's teaching there is no such thing aren't really on the ball, because there is. But the fact is they are right. What they're really saying is that in the realms outside of this earth, there is no duality. Therefore, there is no right and wrong, and there is no ugly, and there is no beautiful. Imagine what this world would be like if we were to live that way. It would be amazing. Over the last 3 years, we have seen government officials, politicians, representatives, employers overreach morals and ethics, in fact, not even uphold them. Instead, instilling rules to hold power, rules to remove people from ethics and morals, rules that further instill the separatism, the discrimination, the them, the us, the ugly, the bad, messing with ethics and morals and overstepping the mark of what it is to be a beautiful human being. Putting in place rules, also known as legislation, that they call them, with overreach, going beyond the innate and integral fundamentals of the human soul. And when they do this, it's time for change. It's time to step up and choose ethics and morals, to draw a line in the sand. In these last few years, the propaganda has said, roll up, do the right thing. We've seen the words of those who defended themselves at Nuremberg saying, I was just doing as I was told. We've heard people reiterating what the government officials have said. I did it for my grandma. I did it for the kids. No, they didn't. They didn't at all. They followed the rules, immoral, unethical rules. They stepped aside from the fundamental wonders of being a human being. Others said, I did it so I could travel. Well, they would probably be as close to being honest as anyone. Others say they did it for their mortgage. So what? And the reason I say so what is because that is the trapped mind. That is not the mind of a free human soul who lives by ethics and morals. That is the trapped mind of self-preservation. Self-preservation is to protect oneself from harm and death. Definition again: protect oneself from harm and death. And that's exactly what they were doing. Following rules and self-preservation. And that's the truth of it. Was not about grandma, was not about the kids. And it certainly wasn't about ethics and morals. The innate, fundamental beauty of the human being. Now, self-preservation is a basic instinct for survival. We all have it. However, when you live a life of ethics and morals, self-preservation takes a different slant and a different position. We haven't seen ethics and morals in these last few years. We have seen people, the masses, who believe the rules to be the right way to go. We have seen the masses who follow the rules of just doing what I was told. Throughout the history of the world, as we're told, there are records of wars, and in fact, wars going on right now. And once again, government step beyond morality. They conscript, demand, even coerce young men and women under the guise of defending their country and protecting their loved ones. Sound familiar? When really a war is about one person trying to have more power over another. What would happen if everybody was to say no? What would happen if everybody was like Rosa Parks or Dr. Wayne Dyer? What would happen if everybody wrote like Dr. Dyer did and expressed their wish to not participate in rules that the government and those who lead corporations not going to follow their rules, but instead stand in ethics and morals? What would happen? What would happen to the power those people believe they hold? Can you imagine? I wonder if you could ask yourself the question, what would that be like? What would it be like if you stepped into your innate, integral, beautiful human soul of ethics and morals? What would the world be like if we had more Rosa Parks, more Dr. Dyers, more Martin Luther King Juniors, more Mahatma Gandhis? What would it be like? I implore you to think about that and where you stand with rules versus morals and ethics. We can change the world. We can change the balance, or rather the imbalance of power. A soul that comes from a place of ethics and morals does not come from a place of that kind of power. It comes from an incredible divine power, and that divine power does no harm at any time. So this has been Gwenda, the fearless prophet of truth. Until next time, have a great day.